Swadika and welcome to Voice of the Nation special edition. For today we are in Phuket and you're with me Nina Nirashamalisaklamia. And since today we are in Phuket, the city or the islands is very well known with its beautiful beaches, clear waters and blue skies. And this is one of the things that attracts a lot of tourists and as well as investors and many business developers. So over the past couple of decades, the island has become more than just a holiday destination. It has become home to tens of the thousands of the professionals, young families and retirees. But since 2020, Thailand was hard hit by the COVID-19. And like elsewhere, the island's economy was affected. But now, since the country is pulling itself out of the slump, today let's explore the state of its property sector with our two guests for today. Please welcome first Kun Kamonpat Sawangkit, Country Manager of DD Property, and Mr. Jules K, General Manager of Property Guru Asia Property Awards and Events. Swadika.
Swadika.
First of all, welcome to Voice of the Nation.
Very welcome.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Good to be here on the beach.
On the beach,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Beautiful beaches behind us,
Yeah.
and here we are in Phuket right now. So, Kun Kamonpat, I would like to ask you about the overall situations of the property in Thailand right now. How was it before COVID-19 and how is it now right now?
Okay, so if you have known about the property, for such a long time, so the last 2 years was be very tough for developers.
Very hard.
Very hard because of consumer probably delay the buying. However, there are still some opportunities that the property market can be sold to either local people or maybe the foreigner. Even though some people cannot travel, but there's still some demands coming in. For the local in particular, because of when people stay in the small rooms of the condominium, when it's locked down, the 20 or 30 square meter is not enough, never been enough. So there are more opportunities to expand their stay into the bigger area. So therefore, you can see a lot of demand on houses. So whether it's the 5 million baht house or even higher.
The demand on houses, is it before COVID or during the COVID?
During the COVID.
During the
particular.
COVID.
Yeah, and also extend until now, because that's where people feel like they prefer the bigger space because sometimes they are still allowed to work from home since then and until now. So therefore, more space is actually better for them. And even some people don't want or don't need to stay in the city anymore. They can work anywhere. They can work vacation at anywhere as well. So there's quite a lot of good opportunities on the property side.
What about condominium?
Condominium is still very good in terms of rental as of now. Because of I have to say that at the beginning of the COVID, rental and also the selling of the property maybe drop a bit, but later we start seeing them getting better and better, and we also foresee that by second half of this year things should be getting even better, but maybe not be at the stage of what we were before. We probably take a little bit more time. But the condominium size, the people who living in condominium, on the buying side may be a little bit slow unless developer help them in terms of getting the good promotion, good price, which they have a lot as well. If you walk into the sale gallery, some project conversion rate is about nearly 30 or 40%. Right. However, when it comes to the rental or the condominium, it's also better because when people, block down to the certain area, they may not want to stay in the same place. They will go to rental at a short-term period of time or sometime like the bigger space. So there will be still some opportunity for rent as well.
Good promotion is at DD Property.
Exactly.
That's where you find the good promotions. Yeah.
That's right.
No, but I think this extends as well to, like, here we are in Phuket, we're talking about open space. There's a lot of open space here. So I think, the positivity around people growing beyond their small house, their small area to live in over COVID, will also drive demand in places like this
Yes.
as things come back to
More
normal.
relaxing.
Yeah, because people
True.
want to be outside. People want to breathe the air again. You know, so
To be with the nature.
exactly,
Exactly.
exactly.
To
And that-
blend
that's-
in.
No, and we've seen that. We're seeing that not just in Thailand, but everywhere. We operate in 5 countries in Southeast Asia, and every country is seeing this trend: more space, more outdoors, more nature, because people have been trapped.
So this is a new trend. What do we call workations or?
Well, there's different things. There's one of the things is work from anywhere, right? So,
Right.
like people can now continue their jobs, work from the beach, work from a lake, work from a boat.
Just like us today.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
So that creates demand, as Kuntig was saying, for rental, right? Because people might spend some time here, some time there, not necessarily. Or at a higher level, if they have the money, they'll buy 2 or 3 properties and then switch between them. So, and Thailand's perfect for that, right? Because you have Bangkok, and then you have these great destinations outside.
Nice
Exactly.
beaches, tropical weather, and since you mentioned about it, Thailand's real estate compares favorably with other countries in the regions. Why do you think that is, and what are the main attractions for the international buyers or even investors, or even attracting the retirees?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's kind of the same attractions that you see for tourists, right? So, from an international perspective, Thailand has great food, friendly people, fantastic locations, easy access. All these things attract international visitors, and when international visitors come, they think, well, actually,
want
this
to
would be a
stay.
nice place to live. Yeah. So that in itself translates into investment, right? But I think also in the market itself, and you can talk to this as well, is the range of property available in Thailand is very extensive. So, like we mentioned already, you can buy a small condo for a rental investment in Bangkok, or you can buy a 5-bedroom villa on the beach in Phuket. So that helps, I think, don't you think, in terms of international interest?
Yeah, actually, during the COVID, we also seeing good opportunities, especially what we recently found that a lot of rich Chinese people moving to Singapore for business and also for stay, right? However, staying in the place, sometimes it's already good for their business setup and so on. But from like Singapore flying to Thailand is not far. And then this group of Chinese people, they like, the Buddhists, the Buddha, and also they like the food, and they like to travel and shopping.
Durian, seafood.
Durian is one of their best.
Beach.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's also a good opportunity that we see. A lot of like the rich Chinese that come over, investor here in Thailand, because we have like many places, many choices, and also the different kinds of location. If you want a beach, you can be anywhere in Thailand, like Phuket, Hua Hin, right? And if you want some kind of a little bit cold area, you can go to northern part of Thailand, like Chiang Mai and so on. Yeah.
Can you please mention about what is or where is the most favorable place or city that the properties situation is blooming right now in Thailand?
Yeah, I would say that Bangkok still remain
Bangkok?
the main city area, kind of, yeah. But we also see some demands, in, for example, like Phuket area, whereby this is more for the luxury living.
Luxury, yes.
And that would be, because that will be including a lot of lifestyle that you can enjoy, right? And then apart from that, we also see the extension of the start coming on the EEC area, because some of the
On the
investors.
East Coast.
Right. Some of the investor or the company, multinational company from overseas already start invest. So therefore, they bring in a lot of expat to be there for work. So therefore, a lot of opportunity for properties.
Very interesting on Phuket, right? Because Phuket is traditionally a foreign investment destination. But during COVID, Thai people started coming here more, right? Because they could travel and it was open, and there were a lot of offers and deals for travel. But that also created investment by Thai people on Phuket. So there was a spike in Thai investment, and especially at a very luxury level, buying properties on this island. So.
But how is the property situations in Thailand comparing to the other ASEAN countries?
I think everyone's recovering, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the thing. I mean, COVID didn't only happen in Thailand, it happened across the whole world. So, I mean, every market has had a different impact, yeah? Some markets have actually boomed, during COVID. Singapore, for example, a lot of people looked for security during COVID. They wanted safety in their investment, so they bought property. So there was a rise in property purchases. Other countries, people got more conservative, so they stopped buying property, so they suffered. But I think, if you look around the Southeast Asia where we operate, there's very similar recovery patterns. Yeah, developers are launching new projects.
Right.
People are starting to buy again. So it's not a sharp increase, but it's slowly
increase.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Slowly going down. But what about the other factors right now, global factors in Europe, for example, like the war in Europe and global economic slowdown and high inflation affecting Thailand? Does this factors affecting the Thailand's property market?
Definitely, it's a fact, but I think it's not only Thailand; it's everywhere, right? Just like COVID, right? It's just a different kinds of factor. For example, like the oil price is grown up,
Yes.
right? So that caused a lot of high price of many materials, construction costs, labors as well. So therefore, with this kind of factor, that probably will be cause the property price higher in near future, right? And maybe how many percent?
Maybe I should invest.
Well, if you want to invest, this is a large chance actually, because like
This year, you mean this year?
I would say end of half one would be probably the last chance, because starting H2 this year, I think the property price will be gone up already, not only in Thailand but probably everywhere as well, because everyone still have some stock, still have some material left, from the previous time, but probably H2 onward, maybe they have to buy new things, they have to buy new land, new cement, new rock, so those kind of
But if
price.
these prices will go up, would it affect the buyers or investors?
Well, yes. Well, if you invested before, it's an advantage, right? But I guess the other thing is that as the prices might be going up, but the market's recovering at the same time, so there'll be more demand. Right?
So you're quite confident.
So in that sense, the two should. I mean, the cost should not affect the demand too much because there's more demand, so they go up together. So yeah, I mean that's what we're hoping, right? But that's what we can see in terms of some countries already, that there is that demand despite the high price.
But what is or what are the biggest changes or challenges during the COVID and, as you mentioned, after COVID or during the COVID right now, and also with other, what's going on in the world right now, the factors?
I can talk about the challenges of the developer and also the consumer as well at the same time. So during the COVID, I have to say that since the beginning of 2020, right? Actually, the COVID started 2019, right? Year end, and then we started having 2 more years to come.
2 years.
2 years
Almost
plus.
2 years.
Right.
Yeah, 2 years.
So with at the beginning of the stage, everyone is suffer, including developer and consumer. However, developer in Thailand, they have a very quick adapt. Within the last, within like 4 or 5 months, they change the strategy of sale. Number one, they not launch the new project as much as they expect at the beginning, because they know that they better clear the current stock more. So they have to do a lot of promotions and pricing and offering good deals, to the consumer. At the same time, at that point, consumer, especially in Thai, they think of, oh, this is really the best deal. They never have this kind of deal before, and they also see the building already, no risk, right? So if they have enough money to invest, they go for it. And then it had been quite a while, for the promotion and still carry on. And of course, the good part is the stock is also was clear as well. So right now, after the last 2 years, so some developers still suffer a little bit, but not much because they never launched a lot of projects as before. But I think this year we start seeing a lot of developers. They got good profit, they got the good revenue, right? So therefore, there is a position whereby they can start launching the new project. And you can see that at least this year, from a lot of announcement together, maybe more than 200 projects to launch in Thailand. Yeah, and that will be gradually launched also in H2. Yeah.
So in Thailand, what about in Phuket? Will we have more local buyers?
Yeah, I think we've already seen more local buyers. We also saw a lot of local buyers leaving, because it was growing. It was a growing market at the beginning of COVID, and that stopped. But at certain sectors, there's been continued investment. But I think the big factor here is if you went to the airport today, you can see that Phuket is already coming back to the old way, right? The old numbers.
Foreigners flocking around.
It's full. It's busy. So that will quickly create more demand again, for property on the island. So I think it's a positive view in terms of what's going to happen, and it's happening potentially quicker or faster than people even expected, because people want to get out, right? They want to travel.
Of course.
I also like to add on to this point, because especially in Phuket, what we see the data from DD Property,
Yes.
that's sponsored by the Data Sense. What we see is the condominium in Thailand, in Phuket in particular, they have more demands for rental, right? And also we see more demand of the sales.
What
like
types of property?
the condominium.
Condominium in here.
Yeah, rental is more.
Demand.
The demand has increasing. However, in terms of the sales, like people buy for invest, they buy more on the houses, and also demand was there as well. So
Luxury houses.
luxury houses.
Wow.
So supporting to what Jules mentioned earlier, that people need more space, and with this kind of nice area in Phuket, right? So you will see a lot of investors coming in. They just jump into the right time. They go for the luxury one, so therefore they get a better yield in later. Yeah.
And since we're talking about properties, Mr. Jules, you have been holding the Thailand Property Awards
Yes.
for 16 years.
Yes. Year
So-
17 this year.
What is the key to success, and how are the awards important in raising the standard of Thailand's property market?
Okay, well, I mean, very important, because as you just heard, with especially now, with new launches coming back, right? There's a lot of developers building new properties. There'll be a lot to choose from, right? So how do you decide which is a good property, right? You need certain things. You have your own research. You have the research of the experts, like DD Property, but then you also have, awards. Now, if you look around now, if you look at an awarded property, it means it's been judged. Our awards have survived successfully because we are an independent and very strict judging process. So our judges are independent. They're from the industry. They check every detail of the property. They visit the property. So when you see a property that's been awarded by us, you know it's going to be quality. So, and quality is a differentiator, right? If you're looking at two luxury properties, and they look the same, and the photos are the same, and the location's similar,
What are the criteria?
how do you choose? So we have things like, we have criteria that goes from the design to the quality of the construction, location. We also include things like the positioning in terms of the wind, sustainability, things like that. How does it take advantage of its location? What are the views like? What's the access to facilities within the property and outside the property? So how does it match your lifestyle needs, things like that. So there's a long list of criteria that judges use, but that gives us the opportunity to really showcase the best, right, with the awards.
And may I also add on to this a little bit, because I have been talking to several developers on this one, and I think this year Judge will be very working very hard.
What is this year's topic about, or judging?
Oh yeah.
Well, we break it down into different categories.
Yeah,
right?
categories. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is actually we see the developer inspiration even being beyond what they have been before. For example, like the space, instead of like 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and this is living room, this is kitchen, and so on, they have more flexibility. Yeah. So Judge probably have to be more consideration in terms of, wow, this is the great idea.
How to use the space.
How to use the space.
I suppose because what we were
maximize.
saying before, things like work from home now. Like a lot of people expect their home to be their office as well.
Right.
Yeah. So how you design. So we judge based on design. So we have interior design awards, architecture awards, and then we have development awards, which are for the actual quality of the property, how it's being built, what materials are they using. And then we actually have developer awards, which is the company what's his track record? Have they done good properties before? Can we expect more innovation from them? So we break it down into different categories to match the market.
And since you mentioned about sustainability, what is the trend right now and what is the trend for the future? Are there any criteria that you would add more about, like aging society?
Yeah.
The home or the designs or the condo that designed for, preparing for aging society that Thailand is actually stepping forwards right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what you mentioned earlier, how the awards help to raise the standards of the industry.
Right,
And I
yes.
think, over 16, 17 years, when we first started, it was like best condo,
Best
house, and then as things develop, we start to have now we have senior living, right?
Right.
So, what's the best senior living development? What's the most sustainable construction, right? How is somewhere eco-friendly? What
Eco-friendly,
smart buildings? All these things have come in over the last few years as the people's expectations and needs change. And Thailand is very good at adapting. Thailand developers move quickly. And so we do see a lot of innovation in sustainability, green building, and ideas that they bring to properties to make this more real. Obviously, Singapore, which is probably the capital of green building in Southeast Asia, right? But that's really because they have very, very strict regulations, right? So you have to build green. You have no
Thailand
choice.
is diverse.
Yeah, whereas Thailand, a lot of the developers take it themselves, right? They do it themselves. And recently we had some visitors last couple of days from Vietnam coming to look at Thailand properties to get ideas. Yes.
Wow.
And they visited a number of places in Bangkok that were super green, great ideas. That they take back now to Vietnam and will replicate. So that's one of the things that we like to see is this cross-border exchange of ideas.
But for you, could you reveal a little bit what's going to be the trend of the future for the next developers who would like to enter to this award?
Well, yeah, you've seen some already, right? I think what we've mentioned before about that your home is no longer just your home, right? So that people have to start thinking of their home and more as
more flexible.
A flexible space, yeah. And that's for the children, for work, for relaxing, for lifestyle, all those things people look for in their home now. I think the way they're developing larger projects as well, access to facilities, right? A lot more places now, you live, work, play, everything in the same area, yeah. And we're seeing that not only in places outside Bangkok, but even in Bangkok. So where you have, for example, a new BTS station, right? Suddenly there'll be a whole new community.
Mushrooming.
Shopping, schools, hospital, everything around there. So
complex.
So I think that community-based development is definitely a trend. Yeah.
Okay.
I also like to add on to this point as well in terms of sustainability because I think some developer, the advanced one, they're not only thinking of how the buyer or the consumer will live their life in their properties only, but they're also thinking of what would be their capital gains in future in terms of the design. For example, some of the house, they want to leave the piece of land, beside within the area because they know that 2-3 years later this piece of land will be even cost more and then they can build up something in additional to support their growing family.
So they want to wait and see the market, how the trend is the market and how the market is shifting.
Right. And in terms of design that I mentioned earlier, a lot of flexibility that have come into the consideration of the design. So therefore, this can consider as part of the sustainability in the future as well.
I think important, we talk about the awards and quality. If you look at, like you said, intelligent investors, right? And I think COVID has made people more intelligent in terms of
adapting.
They had to adapt and they have to be smart. Yeah.
Keep developing.
And also, it's shifted a lot of investing and research online, right? So sites like DD Property are really important because people want to learn about the market now. So we try and provide more information around properties. Some of the questions you're asking us, right, we have to answer for consumers, right, for buyers, because they don't just buy because of the price anymore. There's many different factors.
Right.
So it's,
Currently, consumer, believe it or not, they're willing to pay for anything that's good for their health and their life.
It
Yeah.
is, it is.
They're no longer talking about is that a cheap price that they have to invest. No, they start seeing that is that value enough for them to pay for, no matter how much.
Yeah.
And then with the Thailand Property Awards and also the Asia Property Award, so we can brought up the higher standard because things change every day. Design always change every day. So that will be lift up the standard even higher for consumer.
Yeah, that's the aim.
Well, last since the COVID-19 will still stay with us
Not for
for
long,
quite
I
a
hope.
while. Not for long. We hope. We hope.
Yeah.
So, how do you foresee the property market in Thailand, and what would be your advice for both properties developer and also for investors, or for the newcomers, as in international newcomers, retirees, or those small families who come to Thailand and work?
Okay. So may I answer this first?
Sure, lady
So-
first.
Right. So I think in terms of we have been in COVID situation for 2 years, right? So after this, in terms of the situation of the property will be only getting better and better. It depends on whether it's fast or it's a little bit gradually growing up, right? So that's one. However, design is one thing that definitely need to change according to the needs of the people every day. However, in terms of the investment, maybe change the ways of paying, right? So you may previously pay by cash, pay by loan.
Loans.
Now maybe you can pay by crypto, by coins, and
Digital asset.
digital asset mainly, right? Because of as you see the trend of the cryptocurrency, right?
Yes.
When you're
Go up and
talking
down
about
still.
all kinds of algorithm that you didn't have anything to back up, it's quite not safe at all, right?
So are you saying that DD property will in the future have some sort of digital transaction?
We cannot say that clearly right now.
We don't know yet.
But we are in the Web 3 stage, and we are exploring, what would be the good opportunity for developer and real estate related. Yeah. But I would want to talking about the trend in future, right? Because like if you buy any cryptocurrency, you didn't have anything to back you up in terms of the currency itself. But if you convert that to be crypto that related to property, right? At least people invest and then they know, this. At least they have the building right there that you can rely on, right? So that will be a new trend and futures to be coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think people, like we mentioned before, people are going to should be considering the needs of even an investor, right? You're not just buying a property because you can buy it cheap and sell it expensive anymore, right? You look at the location, you look at the design, you look at how does that property meet the needs of the buyer, because that will give you a better return in the long run, because you're thinking about what you use this space, and so is everybody else, right? So it's not like everybody is now thinking about their life as a precious thing, right? They want that to experience health, they want to experience space, they want to experience innovation, sustainability. All these things you should consider as a property investor, and the information is there, right? The information is online, the information is when you visit places. So intelligent investment, I think, is a trend in the future, not just based on money. Yeah.
So we all agree that the trend in the future is it will be much more complex rather than investing in something and have something to return.
Yeah, yeah.
And for both developers and buyers or investors, we have to think about that will be convenient for their lifestyle, basically.
Definitely.
But if you are interested in buying, so DD property.
All the
We
information
have a
is
lot
there.
of information,
Yeah.
value information for anyone is looking for homes. They will be help you make the right decision for that.
And if you would like to lift up the standard of your own property, then you should be looking for something like
An award-winning property, something that has been given independently judged to be of a high quality, because then you know that you're buying something that has a future, right? Because it's
that's
going
right, that's right. And of course, there's a lot of criteria to
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah.
And
Right.
this is what the award is for.
Yeah, we do the thinking for you.
And that should be the benchmark.
Yeah.
And benchmarks always rise up every year.
Okay. All right. So that's it for today. Voice of the Nation Special Editions in Phuket. I am Nina Niroshamalai. Thank you for watching, and thank you very much, both of you, for joining our program.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
very
ขอบคุณ
welcome.
ค่ะ
ขอบคุณ
Thank you.
ค่ะ
Thanks very much.